Today's still a little bit of that shaky energy, man. I can feel it. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's still questions being answered. Are you sure about this? Are you sure about that? Is this what you really want to do? Type of stuff. I feel like there's a lot of thinking going on. There's a little air, you know what I'm saying? But people are actually using it for more positive intentions, for more positive reactions, for more positive results is what I'm also seeing. You know, it's not as super soppy emotional as it was yesterday is what I'm getting. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's a good time for actualization right now. You know what I'm saying? Figuring out what it is that you want to do, where you want to head, what your goals are for today, and kind of like shoot for the win, shoot for the top. And see how much you can get done today in a very positive way is what I'm also hearing. I think it's this is action energy, but also, kind of like be mindful of the steam that you're rolling with. You know what I'm saying? Because you might run out of it. You don't want to lose yourself, especially in the afternoon. There will be some astrological placements. Uranus and the moon will also be activating. The moon will be in Sagittarius. You guys are going to feel that in one way or another. You're just going to notice how everything kind of slows down. It's quiet for a little bit and then moves on. So there's going to be a little bit of intensity towards the end of the day, but right now it's fire, it's ambition. It's about actualizing ideas, making plans for what it is that you want to knock out. You know what I'm saying? Cleaning up whatever messes you have. Those things that you've been putting on the back burner, get rid of those fucking things too when you have the opportunity to do so. Put it on your high priority list. Like, if there's things that have been bothering you during the week or last week or during the weekend, things that you've put your eyes on and you're like, oh, fucking do it later, do it now. You know what I'm saying? Because what we notice, especially in the mentorship space, is when we have this type of little complacency where we don't want to do something because we're emotionally fucking driven in that moment, it doesn't allow us to carry the momentum because we're too busy in the emotion going, no, I don't want to do it. And it's kind of like rejecting a piece of yourself that needs to be had, that needs to be paid attention to, that needs to be nurtured or honored in one way or another and respected because the universe is guiding you. It's like, hey, this has emotional value. Why don't you just pick it up? Why don't you just clean it up? Why don't you just put it away? You know what I'm saying? Why don't you just throw it out? So a lot of people are kind of like going through these little knickknacks or reviews today, cleaning up all their stuff. Hi, babe. I love you. You know, so if we put a price on today, just make sure that you're making it the best way. You know what I'm saying? Keep the momentum going, keep your vibe up. If you get tired, take a nap. If you don't have the option to take a tired, go do something else, do something different. The body likes repetition, but it can also be comfortable in repetition. So sometimes we have to show a little bit of uncomfort to ourselves and possibly doing something that we don't want to do to keep the momentum going, you know? And as these planets continue to move in, as we have these planets in Aries, which is Neptune and Saturn, just remember that these are kind of like conflicting energies for a little bit, where one wants structure, discipline, karma, the other one wants you to daydream, delusion, and kind of like look at the seriousness or the severity of things and how much emotional effort you put towards those things, because Neptune is also water, right? So if you got water and earth placements, today's a really good day, for you to kind of like manage your emotions, not necessarily take a deep dive into anything that's not worth, that's not going to bring you, they're saying abundance or allow you to manifest what it is that you're trying to get done today or over the next 3 days or 28 days, depending on what you're planning on and what you're looking for and shit like that. Today's a really good day for actualization. Today's a really good day for paying attention to the things that are irking you, that you have some emotional value towards, because these are gifts. These are presentations from the universe, the creators, God, spirit, source, to let you know that, hey, dude, you still, maybe we just need to clean this up or close this door today, and kind of like be humble. It doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It doesn't have to be a fucking 3-step process or a 3-day process for you to do these things. Just, kind of like navigate whatever it is, little things that need to be managed today and allow them to be manageable. You know what I'm saying? Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't overcompensate. Don't overthink. Today's a really simple day, and things might get complicated later on in the afternoon when the moon changes signs, or you'll notice the changes between 4 and 6 o'clock, depending on where you're at. So definitely in the afternoon, you're going to feel everything shift and change, and kind of like the momentum is going to move towards different directions and have you focusing on other things and becoming more clear on what is happening, especially this evening. You know what I'm saying? Expect Uranus to bring clarity in one way or another. You're going to have an idea, a spark of creation and inspiration, or learn how to then manage one of these things that are emotionally affecting you somehow. You know what I'm saying? So today's a great day for variety. I think we as people should embrace the variety that we're given today, because it's going to show us how badass we really are, is what I need to tell you right now. You know what I'm saying? Because we are extremely diverse. We've learned to adapt to so many things over time, and now is the time in your career or whatever it is that inspires and drives you to know that you can handle these things, that you can do these things. But when you're not in a, not from a survival space anymore, to where you kind of mislead yourself, or you overtalk yourself, or you underthink yourself, you know what I'm saying, into a position where you don't end up doing anything and creating stagnancy in one way or another. You don't want to do that. And a lot of us are kind of like not accepting that anymore. Even though that we may feel the pressure of adversity today in one way or another, just understand that that's building you. That's giving you momentum. That's giving you drive. That's giving you ambition. And it's giving you the opportunity to be the magician in your life and really, really alchemize whatever it is that ails you and turn it into something beautiful. Turn it into something done. Turn it into the next step, is what I also need to say here. You know what I'm saying? So this is very victorious energy. I feel like, Six of Wands energy is what they're telling me, but also at the same time, they're also saying actualization. It's like, hey, dude, you have a golden opportunity to really put some focus, to put down what your dreams, your goals, and ambitions are going to look like if you're not already following in those footsteps and building something more, creating something new. Maybe it's a patio, maybe it's a garden, maybe it's some flowers on the side of the house, maybe it's the roof that needs to get taken care of. These are all little pain points, fam, that can literally bother you in the background and manifest itself as something else, especially around this full moon energy, being from Scorpio to Sagittarius. So there's emotion and then there's fire, but there's also logic and realization, and we're in that realization phase now where we're realizing more and more that it's like, I can do these things. I can navigate these things. These things are so much easier than they have been in the past, because it's all mental. Because I've been talking myself out of many opportunities in many places of my life because of the limiting factor of the emotion. It causes me to look down and not focus on everything around me. Instead of look forward, look up, aspire, inspire, realize, revelize. You know what I'm saying? Revelate is what they just said. So, with that being said, just be careful, because sometimes when you look in the mirror, you don't like what you see. But it's also a golden opportunity to change what it is that you don't like, what you see about yourself. You know what I'm saying? It might be just an ego thing. It might be just a mind thing, because you're perfect just the way you are. A lot of people will literally shun that away and be like, I'm not perfect. Are you in God's eyes? And that's a very humbling question that a lot of people don't necessarily ask themselves, especially in the moment. It's like, aren't you perfect in God's eyes? So what is it that you don't like about yourself? And what is it that you don't like about yourself that you cannot improve? Which is an even more profound question, because then you realize there ain't shit I can't fix, because I've already been through it, because I've adapted to so many ways of poisonous, toxic, negative, or positive behavior. You know what I'm saying? Habits, addictions, all these things. I've overcome a great many things in my life to be here to speak about these things, and so have you. Because a lot of you have been here for years. A lot of you have been following us for years, or being in the background for years, and finally coming forward, just like normal. Everybody comes out of their shell eventually, because they build up enough inside of them to believe that they can actually do things and pursue things. And right now, it's all about that pursuit, the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of balance, equanimity, joy, and the lack of separation. You know what I'm saying? We're to embrace those energies inside of us. And then the more we embrace those, the more we embrace them on the inside, the more it shines on the outside, and we become that more positive person. We become what we did. We become better than what we didn't like when we looked in the mirror in the fucking first place, knowing that adapting and overcoming is kind of like our birthright, so we don't have to take anything seriously to the point where it drives us into a hole or drives us into the mud. That's actually detrimental to our behavior. And that's also a survival space where we don't have to do that anymore, because we're releasing the slave, if not releasing the slave mentality that we have all had because of the system, the financial system, the way things are structured, the way self-worth is actualized and realized in this country. You know what I'm saying? All of it is judgment and opinionative. And we're starting to see that separation and the realization of those separate, the separation aspects, or the context or the concepts that are associated with a lack of equanimity in oneself, a lack of equality in oneself, by understanding that there is no separation. And you can do that by tuning into the breath and feeling into that, and knowing that you're not separated from anything, because it feels good to breathe if you just want to breathe, you know? feel like some people are getting crown activations, crown associated with clarity, but some of this stuff might be a little rough to realize. Some of these might be a little gut checking spaces for some, especially if you're suffering from emotional behavior or a lot of emotional or hypersensitivity is coming up right now. You're basically ego deathing, going through a rebirth, and you're becoming something more, something real, something true, something more authentic to you, right? And a lot of us in this moment where we have this pain in our chest or this something that we're holding on our hearts or something like that, and it wants to come out, we usually grieve and end up putting ourselves back in the same spot where we were before. Don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because that in itself is a trap, and it's a waste of, well, I don't want to tell you that's a waste of time, because you're going to learn to come out of it regardless, but you can also give yourself the opportunity and the benefit to not have to do it in the first place, and possibly see it for the first time in your life, that you can actually navigate something without the punishment anymore, you know? And I think a lot of us can resonate with that in one way or another, because even I myself have experienced those things. I have gone through struggles. I have gone through strifes. I've gone through starting over. I've gone through starting new. Shit. Change and adaptability might as well be my fucking middle name at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an everyday thing for me. I adapt and I overcome. I adapt and I overcome. And that's something that we all kind of have to integrate into our practice, because it's part of our embodiment, right? Realizing that it's a step-by-step process, and every step you take, the universe will match that step in the way that you took that step, only to show you that there's more, only to show you that there's truth, only to show you that there's more authenticity every level that you take, or every step that you take. And it's funny because I actually pulled the Six of Pentacles here, right? But I felt this grounding energy, and I see the Taurus sign in there. And Taurus is all about practicality, about making sense of things that actually make fucking sense, because, you know what I'm saying? We're not appeasing the mind here. We're facing the actual fucking facts. And this is fucking Taurus energy. You know what I'm saying? And this moon is helping that. This moon is actually adjusting and giving you a little bit of fire to that earth energy. You know what I'm saying? And actually having a more grounded approach, and allowing yourself to have an even more grounded approach tonight as Capricorn. The moon enters Capricorn, which is all grounded, stable, but very serious, very disciplined. You know what I'm saying? I am a Capricorn moon, so fellow earth sign here in a way. Understanding that these things, plus learning from a Taurus, really helps me out. You know what I'm saying? And that's my south node. But that's neither here nor there when it comes to these things of understanding how practical of an approach you can have now with a more conscious discernment. Utilizing your intuition actually has that grounded, stable approach that a lot of us are looking at to make good decisions, to see where our career is headed, to increase our finances, or to fix any lack thereof in our lives that might be lacking, because the universe is showing it to us in one way or another. So I feel like a lot of people have the ability to take this, harvest this energy, and do something really positive and great, and kind of like enjoy in the afternoon, just enjoy the realizations that you have along the way without getting triggered or, being traumatized by something that's just reminding you of a past space, when it's only showing you how good you are and what you've overcome and what you've got to do, what you've had to do to get here. You know what I'm saying? It's a very honorable space, and healing doesn't have to be hurting, right? And this is what we're kind of like moving away from, and we're evolving from in this space, is all the fucking suffering that it took just to get here is knowledge, wisdom, and experience that we can pass on to others to continue the human evolutionary growth of the lack of suffering, instead of having to suffer so much to realize how important you are as a person. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the divine. That's what they're doing right now in the background when nobody's paying attention. They're just making you a better you. They're not fucking you. You know what I'm saying? They're showing you how you're screwing you. You know what I'm saying? This is that reflective energy. This is that space that we're all undergoing in one way or another in our lives. Whether, check your houses, fam. If you know your astrology, you know which house you're in, you know what's affecting your houses, then family and community might be a thing for you. You know what I'm saying? Relationships might be a thing for you. You know what I'm saying? This might be coming up collectively where, you're realizing that maybe you're in a relationship that doesn't serve you, or you're in a relationship that serves you and you need to do better, or you have a poor relationship with yourself and it's affecting all your relationships around you. Either way, these things are coming up, fam, and they're vibrating at the frequency that you're vibrating at, giving you a consistent feedback of that awareness that we all have the ability to focus on. But it's not a fucking curse. The second that you feel it, you cognize with it, you recognize with it, you adapt to it. You're like, okay, well, I know this is coming up because, you know, Johnny did me 33 years ago and he's an asshole and I can't fucking stand him, right? And I can't believe he's still in my energy. Well, unfortunately, yes, that is valid and that is painful and we are verbalizing ourselves, but in that moment of the realization, we're actually supposed to have actualization, right? It's like, why am I going to keep Johnny in my head this way? Because that's all keeping Johnny where he needs to be, because that's part of my reality, but it's also fucking me because now I got to stay in Johnny's reality, you know? Now I got to stay on his level in order to perpetuate a reality because I believe that to be Johnny and an asshole. You know what I'm saying? So these things might be coming up in your favor, you know? And I think that's something to fucking take a good look at if you're going through those things, dude, because anything you hate will perpetuate, is what Spirit just said. So anything that you don't like about someone, anything that you have disdain for is basically a negative vibration that holds a reality that doesn't serve you any longer. And this is that tension. This is that resistance. This is the hate or the anger or the frustration or the anxiety that literally comes up, or the panic disorder that comes up. You know, your survival mechanism that is also in review because it's showing you how vulnerable and sensitive you really are, right? To these situations, but it's also asking you why you're not humble and sensitive to the situations that actually cause growth, that bring abundance, that allow you to manifest, that show you where the wind is directed so you can manage your sails. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have that positive outlook or that perspective change or that perspective shift that allows us to change our entire fucking reality like this, because we acknowledge the fact that, or come into acceptance and embody the fact that we are here going through this energy for good purpose, good reason, and it's part of our path, and we are to be in acceptance of it. Salah. So, you know, with that being said, you know, you just be mindful of the crystal ball that you weave. You know what I'm saying? That you look through. It's your perspective. You're the key in your life. You're the key to your reality. You're the key to these little constructs that might be annoying you and that you might have to adapt to somehow and overcome. You know what I'm saying? This is just part of the path. It's part of the walk. It's part of your rite of passage, dude. It's because you're so much better than what you think yourself to believe, and this is why you're going through it. You know what I'm saying? God's showing you, but it's also testing you to see if you really want to hold on to those beliefs, those old beliefs, that old reality, that old way of being, or that old way of suffering, and not embrace the new that is already under your feet. And that's what's showing you right now. So if anything, there's a revolution that is going on inside of you and a battle that needs to come out and to show you who's actually fighting in the war and who's winning it. You know what I'm saying? Because the war is your mind. Remember, the prize is your soul. I believe some of you have heard this already. You know what I'm saying? This is no bullshit. You've been manipulated for a very long time to believe that you're only this much when God shows you that you're this much. You know? And I believe a lot of people are starting to realize that. And some of us may be scared and afraid because it's like, what does that even fucking mean? We can help. You know, this is why we do these collective messages, to show you that you can harvest this energy and show yourself that God is real, God is true, and the universe is always calling to you. Salah. All right, guys, I hope you all enjoyed that message. It is a beautiful message, man. And I feel it's a very heartfelt message from Spirit because it's like, hey, today's a good time to make shit happen. You know, and you should be more proud of the fact that you can make shit happen regardless of what it looks like. Be proud of who you are, what you're doing. And understand that's going to carry you into the next day and open doors that you didn't even know were possible or existed. You know, they're showing me the Tower card for some people. This is going to be a profound realization in one way or another. If it's not today, tomorrow. You know, we're calling it out. You know, don't be upset. Don't be projected. You know what I'm saying? If you're getting projected upon or you feel fucking hate or anger outside of yourself, just understand that, hey, everybody's going through something. Everybody's purging something. Everybody's becoming more clear on something. And the only thing that you're feeling is the environment because you've expanded, because you've become more sensitive, because you've awakened to a higher level of consciousness. Okay? There's no punishment here, fam. You know, it's all about how we look at things, and then understanding that how we feel about things isn't necessarily how we're supposed to look at things. So I am doing readings today, fam. I'm doing energy readings for 25 bucks. You want to see where you stand in the energy, where you stand in your cycle, karmic cycle, pattern, path, finances, whatever you want. These things come up in the Soul Counsel messages that we're doing here today. So much love to each and every one of you.